Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Good evening and welcome to Waste Prime Time. My name is Chioma Kalu. Now, you see, Nigeria's poverty story is once again on the global stage. According to the World Bank's latest Nigeria Development Update, 139 million Nigerians, roughly about, I think, 63% of the population, are living in poverty. That's, despite the economic reforms introduced under the Renewed Hope agenda, including fuel subsidy removal, exchange rate unification, public sector reforms, and all of that. The report acknowledges that these reforms are necessary, of course, for long-term growth, but it also warns that in the short term, millions have been pushed into deeper hardship due to high inflation, stagnant wages, and the rising cost of living. So tonight on Ways, we ask, what do reform gains mean when poverty deepens? Are Nigerians paying too heavy a price for the promise of tomorrow's growth? All of this and many more questions we're going to be answering tonight on this show. And remember, Ways is all about you, as you are the why in Ways. So be a part of the conversation every single day. Add your voice. And just before we, get into it, head on to YouTube now and subscribe at Official Upgrade TV. Like, share, invite your friends and family to join the show now. And when I open my phone lines, I'd like to hear your say on this topic. And as always, we have a quote for the day, and it says, "A nation's true wealth is its people, not the money in its vaults." And that was said by Amartya Sen. We're going to come back to this. It's part of the integral parts of our conversations. But before we go into that, we'll go on a quick break. And when I come back, I'll take you through the news interests I have for the day. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. You're watching Ways Prime Time, and in this part of the show, we discuss the news stories that caught my attention today. And the first one says, Obi dissociates himself from unauthorized online endorsement. Now, the story says former presidential candidate Peter Obi has slammed online advertisements and promotions that use his name and image without authorization. In a statement published on his verified X account on Thursday, Obi said that while his aides had previously issued clarifications, some people continue to exploit his identity to mislead unsuspecting members of the public. He therefore warned the public to ignore any commercial claims that link him to products, companies, or money-making ventures. He said, "I wish to state categorically that I have no connection whatsoever with any of these endorsements or promotional activities. At no time have I authorized any individual, business, or online platform to use my name, image, or identity for commercial purposes or profit-making ventures. He also described the act as fraudulent, deceptive, and aimed solely at exploiting public trust. This statement comes amid a surge in digital scams targeting public figures in Nigeria, with Obi's name recently linked to fake endorsements, including AI-altered videos promoting platforms like AfriQuantum X in late September 2025. Now, fact-checkers have since debunked these claims, highlighting the growing sophistication of online fraud in the region. I think technology in Nigeria is both a blessing and a curse, right? Because we've seen there's this rise of deceit we're seeing. I mean, these days there's this trend now. Everybody is trying to generate image using Gemini, and all of that. I mean, as beautiful as it is, it's also very scary because first of all we have a problem regulating these things. And just like I feared earlier, now Obi is coming to clarify that, oh, I'm not promoting nothing, I'm not endorsing anything. Because yes, I think I've seen a couple of these online things. It's not just Obi. I've seen other people, they use, this certified, endorsed by this person, this cream was endorsed by this person, this soap was endorsed by this person. And you find out later that these people have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with these products. In fact, they don't even have an idea about it. But you see, because AI is the technology in vogue, you can take a picture and turn it into motion, and the person is saying something, and if you're not careful, a lot of people believe these things, right? So it's high time we start scrutinizing anything we see out there. We shouldn't, especially public figures, right? And it's a good thing that Obi came out to clear this thing, because if he doesn't, now he is one person that Nigerians, he has a lot of youth that trust him here in Nigeria. So imagine with his personality and the amount of interest, of trust he's been able to gather in recent times. Imagine when he's now been associated with fakes and, scams and all of that. It's really wrong. So I plead with the authorities, let's have a regulatory body. It gets worse if we don't check it. So this is a call to action. We need to check it now before, it goes out of hand. Second is I think this news, I am particularly happy about it, and I really commend them. It says 12 suspects arrested over death of Arise TV anchor. And the story says, operatives of the National Police Force have arrested 12 suspected armed robbers over alleged involvement in the incident that led to the death of Somtochukwu Maduagu, a news anchor and producer with Arise Television. Now, the police said the suspects have confessed to the crime. On September 29th, about 15 armed men invaded Unique Apartments, a 16-flat, 4-story building in Katampe area of the city. That's Abuja now. The armed robbery incident led to the death of Somtochukwu, popularly known as Somi, and the security guard of the building. During the incident, the security guard, identified as a Barnabas Danlami, was shot by the armed robbers, while Somi was said to have jumped from the 3-story building. In a statement on Thursday, the police said shortly after the incident, 4 of the suspects were arrested through the tracking of the phone stolen from the building. The police said Shamsuddin Hassan, one of the suspects, confessed to have shot the security guard when he attempted to prevent them from gaining access to the building. Another suspect, Sani Sirajo, said he held Somi from falling off the story building but was overwhelmed by her weight. You see, Somi's death was really a sad news for us in the media, and I really commend the police for their proactiveness, and this is great news for the family of Somi and the entire family of Arise Television, because this is not going to bring Somi back, but this is in a way giving her justice that she deserves. Nobody deserves to die like that. Nobody deserves to die like that. So yes, kudos to the Nigerian police. And we want to see this proactiveness in every other area of the country. Now, finally, to my final story, of interest. Nigerians, I don't know. I don't know how this came to us, but it says Tinubu appoints Amopita as new INEC chairman. Just when we saw May, now, okay. So the story says President Bola Tinubu has appointed Joash Amopita as the new chairperson of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Mr. Amopita is a professor of law. His appointment has also been ratified by the National Council of States. Presidential spokesperson Bayo Onanuga wrote on Thursday. He says, in compliance with the Constitution, President Tinubu will now send Amopita's name to the Senate for screening. Now, he will be inaugurated by the president if his nomination is confirmed by the upper legislative chamber. He replaces Mahmoud Yakubu, also a professor, who led INEC from 2015 until Tuesday, that's 2 days ago, when he stepped down as his second tenure of 5 years drew to an end. He handed over, yeah, that's right. First of all, he handed over to May Abamuchembo, the most senior national commissioner by appointment. Now, if appointed, Amopita, I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, Amopita will be the 13th substantive chairperson of the electoral body since Nigeria's independence in 1960. So, congratulations to Professor Amopita and Nigerians are trusting that you will do the right thing, you will do right by us. Because if we're being candid, we haven't gotten it right with that commission in a while. So being the 13th chairman, I understand, yes, of course, you have come, you have given, a lineup of things you're going to do and all of that. Every other person did that, right? But it's not enough to just talk to us. We want to see the actions. We want to see you being proactive. We want to see you solve Nigeria's problems. I want to see you leave loyalty to whoever got you into power aside and serve Nigerians who you've been called to serve. So do better. In fact, do your best. Be very, have integrity. Serve Nigerians. That position is not a decorative position. You're there to work. So congratulations once again, but please do the work you were sent there to do. All right. So that's all the story that caught my interest today. And I hope it interests you too. You can go on, on the websites and read them up. There are lots of stories, but I just chose these three because, yeah, I think they are important for us to know. So we're going to go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll dive into our topic for tonight. Stay with us.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we will bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned. And if you're just joining us tonight, our conversation is centered on the reason we have 139 million Nigerians still living in poverty, according to the World Bank's report. So we're asking, why are we, so reformed but now poorer in the country? Let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation by sending me an SMS or WhatsApp to 0818-038-4663. Our phone lines are now open. You can also call on 070-2500-7749 and also on 0701-4242-420. Let's hear what you have to say. Now, we've seen the numbers. We've heard 139 million Nigerians, living in abject poverty. I usually say we don't have middle class anymore in Nigeria, right? We've heard the governments defend themselves and say, oh, our reforms take time, and the pain we feel today will pave way for stronger tomorrow. But you see, as food prices soar, right, transportation costs rise, and purchasing power shrinks, many of us, we're asking how long? How much longer can we endure, really? Is it the necessary cost of progress, or are the poor being left behind in the name of reform? Because you can't be reforming and not thinking about the effect it's having on the people you're putting in the reforms for. So tonight, we're breaking this down, the causes, the consequences, the possible way forward. And joining me to, unpack the World Bank's latest report and what it really means for Nigerians, I have Jacob Choji Pwakim, the Executive Director, Youth Initiative Against Violence and Human Rights Abuse. Good evening, sir, and welcome to the show tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening.
I don't know if I pronounced your name right. Please pronounce the PWA name, please.
You did very well.
Oh, absolutely. Great, thank you. Yeah. So let's get right into it. The World Bank says reforms are yielding macroeconomic stability, but worsening poverty. How do we reconcile these two realities in Nigeria?
Okay, the truth of it is that when you look at an economy, there are many lenses that you can use to look at it. You could look at it from a policy angle, and you can look at it from the day-to-day lives of the people.
Okay.
So you could find policies that are really making impact at policy level. These engagements are strategy. Reforms have tendency of yielding a result in the future. Like, for instance, under the Renewed Hope agenda, we've seen the fuel subsidy removal. We've seen the stabilization of the dollar, of the foreign currency. Let's put it, we run a dollarized economy. We've seen one big one that is yet to come, which by January will be coming up, will be rolling, which is the tax reform. And I assure you one thing, that at policy level, now I'm not holding brief for government, but I think personally that I have, with my knowledge of economy, at least elementary level of economy, I can tell you that the tax reform has some positive touch to it, just that the implementation may be poor. And again, Nigerians would feel the pressure of it because they don't even understand what it is. So by January 1st, 2026, when this is now being rolled out, for the fact that Nigerians don't trust their government, and they begin to see some deductions being made, the pressure of the tax board being coming up and all whatnot, the usual agitations will begin to come up again. So I know you may ask me later on, what should we do? We'll get to that conversation. Now, looking at it on the day-to-day lives of the people, yes, we've not seen the impact of the reforms. And personally, I don't expect that true reforms should come up, should have immediate impact. But again, like it has been said, I read somewhere that whatever policy that you're bringing up, while you have a long-term goal of transformation, you must have like a cushioning approach.
Yeah.
Now, you get to see, now for me, I have seen more money get into the hands of governors, because the president the presidency operates at a national level. So the question is, what are the subnationals doing? Because when we're talking about microeconomy, the microeconomy are the day-to-day women who sell potatoes on the road. The microeconomy are the day-to-day people who sell provision stuff, who have small leather workshops that they operate, that they could sell it at a very little price, and they survive, and they also feed their dependents. The day-to-day market, the day-to-day transformation we need to see in the lives of farmers. And when we talk about policies around farming, is it the presidency that should go in there and begin to talk about policies of farming policies at the state levels? So we need to see more governors taking responsibility. So while the national government is setting the agenda for transformation, big-time transformation, policy focus and everything, within its ambits and areas of operation, we need to see, we have seen the stark failure of governors, where these governors have come in across the country. You get to see just pockets of governors that are agri-centric. They do some pockets of intervention around lifting people out of poverty. So when we talk about lifting people out of poverty, the agri sector, what is the budget of agri sector across states? And when we talk about the agri sector budgetary allocation, we're not even talking of budgetary releases. Neither are we even talking of the strategic implementation, the implementation strategy of agricultural policies. I remember, for instance, in Plateau State, we had what we call the ASTC. Now, this ASTC, after the Jonah Jan left government, we didn't see much of it in under the Lalong-led administration, and now we do not even see anything where the current governor is doing. So the question is that I want to ask is, what are governors doing with regards to taking advantage of the areas where there are economic advantage? So you get to see, when you check again, youth policies, youth ministries, budgets of youth ministries, where, of course, in some states they have the Ministry of Youth Development and Employment separate from Ministry of Youth and Sports. So in Plateau State and many other states where Ministry of Youth and Sport Development is one. So when you check the budgetary allocation, you ask, how much of the billions that have been allocated into that ministry actually goes into youth economic empowerment?
So if I get you correctly, sir, if I get you correctly, what you're saying is this report has gone to show the lapses in the government's current poverty alleviation strategies and schemes that they claim to be putting. Yeah, okay.
Clearly. And it also shows the failure of the federal system that we practice. So you get to see, we need to see everybody knowing his responsibility.
Right.
If there are more monies that are coming into the hands of the governors, we need to see reforms at that level, micro level economy. Since the presidency is talking about macro level, we need to see micro level economy. And the question that I've always asked these governors is that, how many people have you really lifted out of poverty?
Right.
So for me, the example here is that if, let's say, you are very deliberate about economic empowerment across local governments and whatever, you have like 4 billion naira that you allocate for economic empowerment, direct empowerment to young people, whether in farming or in leather works, because these are advantages that we have here. Give each of these youth 1 million naira, for instance, and see whatever that they're going to do with. So let's go back to our governors and ask them, do you have 100 youths that you've given 1 million naira in the last 1 year? You get to see it's no. So the youth population, who are majority of these poor people, have been neglected. And because of the poor knowledge of accountability, where young people do not even know what is right for them, they are okay, they are celebrating them. So governors, so while we really hit on the government, okay, poverty, what do you call it, the safety net programs of the federal government have not worked. How do we even expect those programs to work? They couldn't have worked because you don't sit down there in Abuja. You say you use AI to track, to select beneficiaries of safety net and whatever, while the states are existing. So we need to even query the workability of our federal system, how feasible it is. So we need to see federal system focusing on federal, policies, macro level policies, while the subnationals and of course the local governments also deal with what? Micro level economic empowerment. By that, when we look at that, we deal with issues at that level, definitely these policies are going to roll out.
Yeah, okay.
And this statistics is going to change.
I mean, it's something that's really worrisome, right? Because just again, on the 1st of October, the president told us that, we were able to share 330 billion to 8 million households. And just as we are speaking about macro and micro economy, and I'm asking, how many of the people that really are involved in this micro group, if I have to call it that way, how many of them got that money for, to get that cushion of the economy that we have right now? So it's sad because I have been asking on this table, if you know you have, please let us know. So are you sharing the money to people in your class? Or are you sharing, like I said, there's no middle class in Nigeria anymore. The poor households that really need it. People don't buy meat anymore to make soup in their houses. They don't, right? It's that bad. So, I mean, I keep asking that question, who got the money and who didn't get? But then again, do you think there's a risk that reform fatigue can lead to, social unrest? Do you see it coming?
Very clearly. Now, I see it coming, and that is why in my opening statement, I talked about the tax reform. That tax reform is likely going to put a lot of pressure on Nigerians. And there's already apprehension that is happening. Yeah. I heard of someone saying that that when the money they will start removing money from their account and all this and all that. See, the people do not trust the government at different levels.
Yeah.
While there is the politicalization of this accountability, quest for accountability at different levels, like you get to see, like in my state, the president is APC, of course, and our governor is PDP. So you get to see some people who are PDP followers are more of seeking accountability from president, while they have their governors and their governor and their chairman here receiving billions of naira that they are not asking. So when you say the economy is failing, they say, yes, it's Mr. President that have crumbled the economy. So you get to see the APC people are rather say that, no, governors, you need to account for the billions that is being given to you. So these are all the confusion that are really happening. And that is why in the first instance, I talked about how do we reconstitute our practice of economy so that we know who does what. You don't sit in Abuja and tell us that you use AI to track beneficiaries of your safety net. So we need to see if you have any allocation. So by January, for instance, Nigerians currently, with the billions that they say they have spent, Nigerians are asking, like you've always asked, you've also asked, and I am asking, who is the beneficiary of that money? Whether across the state, can they give us state statistics, names of the beneficiaries of that? And their failure to bring out that list is already deepening suspicion. Right. And let's say by January, you are not beginning to put us by force, by fire, that people must pay tax. I can assure you that, Nigerians can be patient and cannot be patient.
Right.
They can be patient to endure a process, but when they are already apprehensive, they can never be patient. So they don't want to listen to anybody because you've not come out to explain to them how this thing is going to be done. So by 2026, there's a projection that there's a likelihood of an uprising if they are not careful in the implementation of the tax reform bill. No matter personally, I have my personal love for part of the bill, love for it. But as far as the average Nigerian does not know about the bill, does not consent to it, and because it is also a practice that will remove money from them and empower governors with more money who are not held accountable, there's already a problem looming.
Right. Right. So, according to that report, right, the World Bank report, it said social programs are underfunded and poorly targeted, right? But I personally think we should leave the underfunded because we know that the money is there. We can't be saying underfunded. No, we know that the money is there. Right, but then when you talk about poorly targeted, I can relate with that. So, what practical steps do you think we can take to fix this poorly targeted clause in the report? Because I know now you've mentioned the governors doing their due diligence and all, but how do we ensure we hold them?
Not doing their due diligence.
Not doing their due diligence. How do we ensure we press them down and ensure they do that due diligence?
Okay. Now, for me, I want citizens. You know, these are things we'll be doing a lot of awareness. At times when we talk about government, the threatening, the sense some threats around us and all whatnot. Even the people that you want to even talk, that you're talking about their well-being.
Yeah.
Because they have put in partisanship on their lens, so they don't see the credibility of what you're saying, but rather they think of loyalty to their political parties.
Right.
So there is going to be this natural process of people demanding for accountability. Because as we speak now, a lot of people in the rural areas do not even know that billions are being sent to states.
Of course, they don't know.
And also to a lot of millions are being sent to local governments. So people do not know about this. So you get to see a chairman, for instance, of a local government that have gotten more than like billions, that have gotten billions, like for us in Plateau State here. And when you ask them, what are you doing? What have you done with the money? They could show you one pocket of local, what do you call it? A market that they develop, that the money is not up to what they are requesting. So again, it calls for we as a civil society and other citizens must begin to, who believe that we have access to information, we know how to invoke the Freedom of Information Act, to see how do we request us from whether governors or chairmen, what have they done with their money in the last 6 months, in the last 3 months, in the last 1 month, in case if they want to come up with bulky document, because there are different dimensions to the application of the Freedom of Information Act. So than for us to sit down and be crying, there's a likelihood of a problem in the future, I think we need to be more strategic, because these governors continue to do what they do because they know that nobody is going to ask them. So citizens are likely going to demand, and by that they are not going to use strategic means. Some hungry boys and girls who just one day wake up and say, we're so tired of the suffering in Nigeria, we're so troubled about this, let's go to the street and protest. Remember also that there are certain protests across certain places that are serving as a motivating factor to whatever that is happening. So the generation, like the Gen Z, for instance, who are powerless financially, who are, because you also know that their education that used to be technically free. I schooled in University of Jos and I paid at the point, was it 6,700 as school fees? And today they are paying 100 and something. So the question is, the conversation is around the Gen Z population, who are also in the majority. They are many. How have they been carried along? How do they understand the economic policy? How are they likely going to react? And what is the implication of what happened recently in there's this country that they had to remove their president, is it prime minister, and those who have longer history will look at how did the Arab Spring start. So as a nation, as states, and as governors, we must really begin to look at what is likely going to happen if we do not become more transparent and more responsive to the demands of the people. But again, they must understand what are the demands of the people.
Okay, so let me just butt in, right? We'll go on a very short break, and when we come back, we'll pick it up from where we stopped. Please stay with us.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Welcome back. We are still talking about the 139 million Nigerians who are living in abject poverty, according to the World Bank's report on the development states of Nigeria. And I have a very amazing guest who's been talking to us about it. Good evening, sir, again, and I want to know if you're still here with us.
Still here, thank you.
Oh, beautiful. So just before we go on, I have a comment that I would like to read, and this is from Jamal Palm. He says, my challenge with such economic reforms is that the citizens are asked to be patient while government lives flamboyant lifestyles. They buy renovations of residences at outrageous amounts. It's crazy. Yes, I agree with you, Jamal. It's not something. It's not interesting. It's not a good thing to talk about. And I feel like, I don't know, are you people not ashamed of the country on the global stage? Because I am. So I mean, sir, you were talking about practical steps we could take to fix these lapses in both the state level and the local government level? So please go ahead.
Yeah, we need to seek accountability. Now,
Yeah.
the politicians on their own must realize that we have a situation at hand. And that is why programs like this is very important.
Right.
We don't know how many of them are going to watch it, but we're going to take these video clips to them. Let them hear the conversation. People, so that they don't come and push us into a very terrible situation. I remember during the End Bad Governance protest. After the protest, I was sick for like 1 week. 1 week. Because why? I was on the protest ground not because I wanted to protest, but I was on the protest ground because we felt that we needed to stay there to coordinate those young people who were already angry. So how many times are we still going to be going to protest ground? So they need to avoid a situation whereby these young people, and when we talk about poverty, like you said, there's no middle class again.
Yeah.
And even people like us, it's not that we are rich. So we are among those categories of people that you're saying that they are poor, that they are struggling to survive. So if people with voices, with faces and names are also facing the excruciating pains of the economy, how much more of the young people there who are powerless, who do not have education, or who are in school, their lecturers are abusing them. We school in a place where we graduated about 70 something, but currently you have about 400 in a class. So it is dehumanizing. So
I think we have more than 400,
there?
to be fair. We have more than 400 in some classes, yes.
So it is already disrespectful. How can one lecturer, so even the lecturers that are even teaching in our school are already fatigued. You've not increased their salaries. They are not paying comfortably. They are not living comfortably. So already the system is whacked, and people, our politicians must come to the realization that no, there's a problem already, and we must solve it. So they must lead these reforms. Ours is to see how do we continue to call their attention and say, there is danger ahead, there is danger ahead. Remember too that 2026 is also introducing us into the year of primaries for election into 2027. So there's already, this period is already a very heated period. So what would they do? Let them review their microeconomic policy. What are they doing? It is not yet late. Can they begin to look at what? So for instance, let's look at a certain sector that you want to raise. Agriculture, which is a common mainstay for us in the north and all whatnot. How do you support the farmers? How do you make your farms safe? How do you deliberately, like in Plateau State, for instance, when you ask the government, deliberately, what have you done to address the farmer-herder conflict beyond the flamboyant meetings that you hold to show optics of peace-building intervention? So we need to see confidence-building interventions. We need to see a situation whereby farmers are able to comfortably go to the farm and farm, and people are grazing peacefully. And as far as we do not address the insecurity in the north, we do not address the insecurity outside, even outside the north, it automatically affects the economy. There are more people that are being kidnapped. How can we say that in 21st century, at this age and time, that today somebody can be kidnapped, ransom is being paid, and nobody is being traced? What is the possibility of arresting perpetrators of heinous crimes, that 100 people can be killed in a community and everybody is fine and we walk out and the next day is like, we are fine. Good morning, Nigeria.
I'm glad you mentioned this. I'm glad you mentioned this. You know, I think it was early this week. I was talking to my colleagues and I said, we don't seem to... He looks... tells us, oh, that we did not pay ransom. So now is the fact that the children are home safely. And I'm wondering, so does it mean this is selective? You choose when to interact with this, meaning you can actually access these people. So what are we really doing? right? So that's why I said I'm glad you mentioned this whole not being able to assess the bandits. But then again, it's the sad reality we are in Nigeria. But before we go, right, how critical do you think, let's come to the youth now. A lot of graduates are coming out every day in the Nigerian Union, a lot of them. We still have those that graduated from 2000 and 1999. You know, a lot of them don't have jobs. And now new ones are being pushed out every year. How critical is job creation, especially for the youth, in reversing this poverty trend? Because I believe, you know, it could help us. But what do you think?
It is as critical as you have said it. Very important, because youth empowerment is not just an economic development, shouldn't take just an economic development intentions, or yes, intentions, objective. It is already a national security issue. Like you have said, there are many young people that are being churned out of what do you call it? Universities, colleges, different institutions. We are not even talking of those that have OND, NC, and or lower certificates. So they are already frustrated. They feel the country does not represent their interests. And this is the conversation that I've always had about people. I say, hey, at times when you talk about bandits, you want to profile a certain ethnic group as they are the bandits of the country. But anybody can be a bandit at this point in time. It's just they have seen that kidnapping, abduction, whatever that it is a fast payer of money. And if banditry or whatever that it is can give me high yield, something that a sane system cannot give me, then I would go into banditry. Two, we have a system where it rewards criminality. Tomorrow you get to see bandits are the one negotiating with government. Bandits, government are likely paying the ransom to government to bandits. Then who is the government? Right. So it means that the young man who sits in his village, who is loyal to government, moving from one office to the other, dropping CVs, doing interviews, in the next 10 years he's not going to get a job. You're telling him that he's now being insensitive to his plight. Because you're telling him he should go and pick up arms. So even our economic empowerment, our security approaches, response to in the country must also be sensitive to the citizens who have decided to be loyal to this country. Right. So there should not be a reward system for criminality in the country. Else, nobody is going to go and do a job within a minimum wage when you know that just one kidnapping can give you 200,000 or 100,000. So we need to see an improvement in what do you call it, economic empowerment. Not all of us would have to go to school. You don't need to give me the large number of credit units that you put in the university for me to graduate. Come on, all you just need to do is create some time for me while I school. I also do some economic activity. Yes. Create some business ventures for some loans, free loans, whatever that is, low interest loans for me, so that as I am schooling, I am also what? I am also running some businesses. Yes. So for me, this is going to work.
Okay. I mean, finally, Mr. Jacob, what message, right, do you think Nigerians can take from this World Bank report? Should they take the message of despair or the message of determination to make their lives better? What do you think? Just in 1 minute.
Nigerians are determined people. Nigerians are determined people, and I know that we can push through. I just want to appeal to them. Let us be lots more patient with the system. I believe that the policies that are being brought by the Renewed Hope agenda are positive policies. We need to see them fail first before we condemn them. As far as we've not seen them fail, we have no moral right to begin to condemn. After all, our leaders would need to take their time to lead the process, but they too, on their own as the leaders, must be modest in their spending and show that we are at moments of austerity, so that as we're being patient with you, you're also being patient with us as the leaders.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Jacob Choji-Pwakim, Executive Director, Youth Initiative Against Violence and Human Rights Abuse. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and have a good evening. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've seen that the poverty numbers are not just statistics. They are stories of real, actual people Mothers are skipping meals so that their children can eat these days. Young graduates are job hunting. They've been job hunting for years. People are giving up. Small business owners barely stay afloat under the rising cost. And yes, reforms are vital for long-term growth. Don't get me wrong, but reforms without relief is a bitter pill to swallow. And Nigeria as a nation cannot build prosperity on empty stomach. It's not possible. So true reform must lift people, not just balance books. We can't be, celebrating rise in GDP while we ignore more people falling into abject poverty. So tonight, as we reflect on the World Bank report, let's remember a nation's progress is not measured by GDP alone, but by how many citizens can live with dignity. And that's all I have for you tonight. Just before we go, if you missed our quote earlier, here it is. It says, a nation's true wealth is its people, not the money in its vault. And that was said by Amatia Sen. And if you're not following us, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, it's Official Upgrade TV. Please subscribe, like, and share for your friends and family to join us as we do this show every evening. My name is Choma Kalu, and this has been Waste Prime Time. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.